Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Maria Fontana Show. So, this week I have a special guest, my beautiful client turned friend, amazing small business owner of multiple brick and mortar locations in the aesthetics and personal beauty and wellness space. Let's welcome Michelle Collins. Hey, Michelle.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
I'm so
I'm so
excited.
excited.
I'm excited. I know. So I am so excited, guys. For all of you listening, I met Michelle a few years ago now, I think, and we met online. And Michelle is one of the most amazing clients I've had. I have hundreds and hundreds of clients, but Michelle really resonated with me because we had a very similar journey, as most of my clients do. So, Michelle, tell everybody just a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you do, what you've done your whole life, and just who you are. Let everyone know what an amazing human you are.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Michelle Collins. I am almost 26 years as an esthetician, which I have had just the most amazing career. I am so blessed, and I've had such a journey in the beauty industry. I usually say all the time when I became an esthetician and I would tell people I'm an esthetician, they would say, "Oh, wow. So you put people to sleep for a living." That's when nobody knew what that was. And here I was embarking on this really amazing career with one opportunity after another to grow and expand in the industry. And I have just been so forever grateful to be in this business. And I'm very proud that that's my career. I get to connect with people and women and make them feel good and follow them through their journeys of their life. And in the meanwhile, I've gotten my life out of my career. I'm going to be 49 years old, and I'm in a lot of stages at 49. So a really great career, but also just some things on the horizon and changing things in my personal life, which have been through the eye of the needle and very excited about to get to the other side. So life is expanded, and it has expanded even more since I met Maria.
Aw, that is so
Great.
beautiful. Let's talk about where you were when we met, because all of our listeners are all in the same place that we were. They're in different parts, right? I always say we're all in the same boat, but different parts of the boat. So tell everyone just a little bit, kind of a little behind the scenes of where you were, whatever you want to share, and like what you were stuck in at the time. And then we're going to talk about your amazing breakthroughs.
Yeah. So I got onto TikTok actually during COVID because as an esthetician, I was out of work for 6 months. We couldn't treat clients, and I was home and bored. How in the house bored, and on days that I walked the dog and didn't know how else to fill my time, I started to scroll through TikTok, and a lot of my algorithm on there was through the beauty industry and looking at what we were doing to survive. As we got back to work, and there was really a point for me where I said, what will I fall back on in the future if we were to ever have to have this again? And my mind started to really expand in wanting to get into coaching. Now, I had done a lot of preliminary things related to transformational work and work where I had done work on myself, and definitely wanted to branch out into my own business to help others in that direction, but really didn't have a way or a foundation to do it. I was scrolling, and there had been other people that had crossed my page that were business and wellness coaches, and they just nothing ever really jived. And then one day I stumbled upon Maria's videos, and it was like there was like this kindred spirit. It was like I could see myself in her. She was in the beauty industry. She was speaking the language. She had done it. She has the brick and mortar location. She stepped over into the online space. People have always said to me in my own career, Michelle, I just do whatever you want. I just trust you. And you just know that they just trust you, and you're there to do the treatments because you're going to just do what's going to be best for them. You would never put anybody in harm's danger. You just have that sense about yourself and them. And when I watched Maria, it was like, I don't know her, but I just trust her. I just trust her message. I trust what she's saying. And I reached out, and I thought she's going to bridge the gap. of what's next for my life and where I'm going to take my career. And we reached out, and it was a great fit and great connection and great conversation. And then we started to work together.
I love that. I remember when you reached out, it was so powerful. So I'd love to hear like what were you struggling with? Like what was your biggest like where you felt like you were, because I remember I felt like I was in quicksand.
Yeah.
And every time I would get out of the quicksand, I'd fall into another hole. And I just kept feeling like I couldn't get out. I never could get out 100% in like resetting myself in at the time I had gone through divorce. At the time I had little kids. I had lost my business. I had been financially ruined. I was in bankruptcy. There was all this negative shit. And I just felt so lost and just not good enough, even though I had been uber successful in the brick and mortar. Where were you? What was the biggest thing that you felt stuck with at the time?
Yeah, I think in my life, I have often felt that I am very good at holding others above the water while I slowly get below the water and start to drown a bit. And I no longer wanted that feeling. I wanted to get back to a balance. And I was doing that like not only personally and professionally, it was always about everybody else. And, it's not that I didn't have great accolades and great things happen in my life. I just felt that I hadn't really made myself the priority. And here was this. I was flooded with ideas of where I could go in the next portion of my career. And all of a sudden, I felt really insecure. And I had gathered a lot of information, and I had, done a lot of research. I just didn't know how to unpack it. And I was used to knowing how to do that before. And I was lost. And also I had been, also at a point where I was looking at my personal life and my marriage. And there was a lot of focus over there. So I just really felt like insecure, didn't know how to like lay all this out, didn't know where to begin, overwhelmed, a drowning feeling. And that's when I always knew that people, when I did some transformational work in the past, I remember having a coach, and they said, when you're serious about winning, people who are serious about winning and they're on the court in the game, they have a coach. And I didn't have a coach, and I knew I needed a coach. It was like, here's what I'm dealing with. How do I sort it out? How do I move forward? And, I need some breakthroughs. And that was it.
Yeah, and you've had some incredible breakthroughs. I mean, your breakthroughs, I mean, what you got done in just a few short months has been incredible. You have actually catapulted your whole life, your career, your fight, like just everything in a different, like you cracked open basically. So, what would you say to everyone listening that was probably the biggest takeaway for you in your reinvention, your reset, your recalibration? Because this is what it is for all of us who are committed to doing it. What would you say is your biggest takeaway in
Sure.
this season? Because really, do you agree, Michelle? It's like this season.
Yeah, it's a new season. It's like a new season. Um, well, it's very interesting when you get focused on one thing. And, the thing I've always gone to that I thought needed the work was the business. But
Mm,
my business has always flowed. It's always showed up. Even when I thought clients were dropping off here and there, new clients come in. And then you learn that that's what the universe is doing. It's, making space for new clients, right? And every time I wanted to learn a new modality, that was always available. So here
mm,
I am naturally going to the thing that always somewhat works
mm.
to try to make it work better, because I didn't kind of want to look at what wasn't working. And so when I really got to the point of like you and I working together and looking at the business, yeah, there was a ton of things I was learning. I was learning a lot about social media, and I was learning a lot
Mm.
about, how we go from the online, brick and mortar to the online space, how I could even replace myself. Like you and I had some major conversations, but I just remember in the background, it was almost, I was hearing in the background that one area of my life that wasn't working really well that I knew was what I needed to tackle. And when
Mm.
that got worked on and things opened up, then I knew everything would align. But there is that I don't want to quite deal with that. I kind of want to just deal with the little thing that's sort of not working, but working really good, kind of thing. I didn't want to look at the big stuff. So I would say, yeah, that's what really opened it up was when we got to working together. It was okay, there's areas of my life that are really not working. And that is what there is to go to work on. And here we were talking shop, and it was really more personal. And
And
it,
it happens that way with everyone, with all female entrepreneurs, the salon, spa, any, I mean, I work with all kinds of service-based business owners. It always is the inner game. I would love to hear from you. How did you find the whole experience of listening and trusting to yourself more? Because I know we worked a lot on that, and you allowed your soul, your GPS, your inner teacher, you tapped into her, and she just came out and started to just lead, and you began to listen. Tell everyone a little bit about that experience for you.
so sitting here today, I'm actually really moved by it.
Oh, I love you.
It's such, when I go back and I look at it, it's such a process. It's such a process in trusting in yourself, and it's steps. It's daily steps. It's daily, the daily work. And I think when you have a willingness, I always had a willingness. I just needed to be directed in looking at that area of life, which was my marriage. And once I was willing, and I was willing, but once I did, then that's when there, and I think for all of us women there is an innate trust in ourselves, but we get to points where we doubt it, or you think the intuition isn't right on. But I think as someone who's now like almost 49, I had enough wherewithal in the past to know that there were times like, Michelle, when you made that decision for yourself, it was the best decision. When you closed that door and you opened the other one, it was good, right? So you can kind of fall back into the past and go, yeah, there's evidence that when I did trust myself, I moved forward in a great direction. So here I was again facing that. And I think I took it a day at a time. I took it a step at a time. And the one tool that was the most valuable that I got from you was actually like just sitting and saying, how does that make me feel? How does this
Mm.
make me feel? And I don't think I ever really asked myself. It was like you kind of knew all the feelings, but when you really, boiled it down and each situation and daily as you were trusting yourself, how does that feel? Does it feel good? Does it light you up? What feels good and what doesn't feel good. And the more I sort of trained that muscle, that's like a daily thing I still say to myself. How does this feel? You know, how does this feel, getting ready to step out of this marriage, look into other things for where I'm going to live? How does it all feel? If I'm looking at a place that I want to maybe purchase or rent, if I'm moving on, how does that feel? How do I see myself? Do I feel good? How do I feel with posting online now? Right? Like, I feel great. Like if it feels great, I move forward. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So it was a daily practice, a moment by moment practice, really, on retrusting myself because
Yeah.
I had lost that trust. But yeah,
And giving ourselves grace, right? I mean, I remember that's a huge breakthrough. And I never knew to ask myself that question. How does this make me feel? I mean, I was taught, most of us were taught, like, just shut the hell up, sit quiet, don't talk, don't be seen, not heard, just zip it, be a people pleaser. So by you saying this to me, like, I literally want to cry because this is what it's about. This is the reward. I call this the reward. The reward is touching other people's lives. And you, Michelle Collins, whatever your path brings you, this next journey, you're working on this. Now, Michelle is working on her coaching consulting practice. We're not 100% there yet. It's an evolution, but you are going to change lives in whichever way you choose to change lives. And that is what the power is when you invest in yourself and trust yourself.
yeah, yeah.
What parting words would you like to say to the audience of all these beautiful, big-hearted souls, just like us, just like you, who listen to this podcast? Because there's thousands and thousands of people, men and women, who listen to this podcast who weekly wait for inspiration. It's a glimmer of hope. They want to believe in themselves. They want to take that next step. Most of them are just stuck. They're
Yeah.
successful like you and I were, but they're stuck.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
Oh, what would I say?
Check in with your heart. You know.
Yeah, I think it's if you're really listening and it's that voice is telling you. It's always right there and telling you what there is to do. And I think you have to just go for that. If you really quiet down, it's almost like that. It's not just the inner voice, it's that continual conversation. And when you're just kind of being eaten alive by it, and it's just kind of constantly tapping you on the shoulder. I think that's when there is something to do about it. And whether that's investing in yourself or taking on the next phase in your life, that's it's just time to do it. I think those voices are only going to get louder. The tap on the shoulder is only going to get like a little tougher. So you got to just that's what it was for me. I couldn't go around and around in my own head anymore. I needed to just get it all out. And because I was being driven crazy by it.
I
And so
love that.
that's what really it is. I think it's just when you know, and you can only push it off for so long. And even certain situations in my own life now, it's almost like the universe, God, source, whatever you believe in,
Mhm.
it starts to just take over. You can't keep going at the pace you'd like to go at when things want to break open and there's growth and transformation waiting for your life. You can only stall it for so long.
Yeah.
And then I'm afraid what happens if you stole it for too long and you're on the other side. I just think it's not good. So, you got to break out into it and, open up. So that's what it was for me. I just had to go for it.
I love that. Well, I am so grateful that you took the time today to spend with me, to spend with my beautiful audience. Guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop all of Michelle's contact information, where you can connect with her, where you can find her if you'd like to connect with her for the future. Follow what she's doing because she's going to be doing great things. And also, perhaps, if you want to connect with her to get amazing, high level exclusive luxury skincare. She's phenomenal.
Oh,
So I'm going to drop all of those things in the description. Michelle, I love you. I am so grateful you're here. I want to thank you for being a guest and whatever you'd like to say to the audience.
thank you. I'm just so grateful. I always just feel that, you know, the right people come into your life and to take you to the next level. And you certainly have done that for me. And I'm, from the bottom of my heart, truly grateful.
Well, I love you and I'm grateful that you allowed me in your life. So,
Thank
everyone, as always, make sure you share this podcast episode. If it could touch someone's life, just share it out. Drop us a review because it helps me and all my beautiful clients. Look at this light coming into my head here. It looks like
you.
I'm a saint.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. See, the light is just shining through me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got distracted. Make sure you share the podcast, drop a review, and send this to everyone that you love. Here's sending you guys lots of love and light. Thank you, Michelle. I
Thank
love you
you.
all, guys.
Thank you.